Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Todd, the Kayak Warrior. I'm out doing a little video because I've had some questions about how to spool my Baitcaster and how I set it up and fine tune it and all that. So if this is your first time to the channel, do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification so that way you're notified the next time that I put up a video. All right, so getting into it. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the KastKing Spartacus, the one I just did the video on. I put a link up here that I just did a couple days ago, and I'm going to show you how I take and put braid on my Baitcaster. So the reason why I'm putting braid on is because I'm going to be throwing more lures, whether it's top water, a swim bait or something like that. I want, whether it's freshwater or saltwater, I want this braid on there because it casts really well, and it's also abrasion resistant. So when I'm, on oyster bars, or if I'm around tree limbs, freshwater fishing, this will sustain. It does both purposes. So it like I said, it's good for freshwater and saltwater. So what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to take and attach this straight to my reel. I'm not going to use any backing or anything like that. A couple reasons why I'm not going to use backing. One, I want my line directly to my spool, because sometimes if I'm casting a long distance, I don't want it to get into the backing to where there's that extra knot, that's that extra chance of something going wrong, breaking off or whatever else. It's just my opinion. This is what I do. Now, some of my bass rods, when I'm flipping and pitching, I use backing because I'm not going to be casting a long distance. I'm going short distances. Now, if I'm throwing, like I said, this is going to be for lures, and I'm casting long distance, I want straight braid on there all the way. Now, there's going to be times where I take my braid and I may put a piece of fluorocarbon leader on the tip of it. That's different. I just want this braid directly to the spool. And so how I do that, I take my spool, and I'm going to give you a close-up here. Now, this tool that I'm using, I'm also going to put a link to it in a video that I did earlier, so I'm not going to really talk about it, but it just helps me to get the line on the spool with less twist. All right, guys, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take the line and put it through the little eye there. Once I bring it out on the other side, I'm going to take this line, I'm going to feed it through just like that. All right, and I want it on there loose because what I'm going to do is just take a little half a turn. So now I have my line here. So I have it. So now I have it through the eye and around. So all I'm going to do is spin it around so that way you can see. I'm going to do an overhand knot. It's called an Albright knot. So I'm just going to take it around. So I have the main line here, tag line here. I'm going to wrap it around. All right. So now that I've wrapped it around, I'm going to bring it out to the other side. So now I have crisscrossing knot lines, right? So now that I've done that, I'm going to take my tag end, I'm going to loop it around one more time, but I'm not going to go around the main line, but the line that I just used. So as you can see here. And now I have an overhand knot basically around it. So next thing I'm gonna do, you can do one or two things. You can go ahead and pull this tight, and then I'm gonna take an overhand knot here. So I'm just making an overhand knot, passing that through. So now I just did an overhand knot, but I'm gonna take it around one more time. Back through, So now, and then I'm just gonna pull that tight. What that's just gonna do, it's just gonna create a little knot. I'm gonna clip this off. And now, this knot that I created here, I'm gonna let it slide down. It's gonna pull tight, but then my line is gonna keep pulling down to the other knot. And the knot at the top is gonna prevent the other knot from slipping through. So that's all that's for. And now that I have that on, I can attach this to the reel seat of my tool here. And the reason why I like using this thing is because I don't have to have somebody holding it here. So all that's gonna do is just gonna get tight. And I'm just gonna hold it. Just gonna keep cranking my line. Now what you can do, you can always put like a piece of cloth here. So I just have a little blue cloth here that I'm gonna use to make this line tight so it doesn't burn your fingers or anything. And I'm just gonna keep filling it up until it's 1/8 of an inch from the tip of the spool here. So that's what I wanted to see, how much line. So this is a 150-foot spool, and it takes about 150 yard spool. It takes about 150 yards. So that's good to know for later on, because I still have a little bit of room left, not much more, but that works. All right, so what I'm gonna do now, I wanna make sure that I'm gonna go ahead and put this on my pole, and I'll get back to you guys. So to test this out, what I did, I just tied a top water spook on there. I'm using a loop knot on my braid. I'm not gonna do this when I go out on Monday. Anytime I tie a loop knot, it's normally with fluoro. So I'm gonna replace that, but it's just to test it out. And so once you're getting started with your Baitcaster, inside, so for this one, it has a little lever here. You just pop this. And then inside, as you see, you have brakes in here. So this is your dual braking part. And so I have mine set on 3. So as you can see, the little red tick right there is on 3. When you're first using it, if you've never used a Baitcaster before, you can do one of 2 things. You can put it on like halfway, or which is a 3, or you can put it all the way down. And what it's gonna do, it's gonna create tension, friction on your spool with these magnetic braking, or with these brakes, all right? And so what that's gonna help do, it's gonna help slow down your reel. So all you're doing is popping back on. So you're gonna slow down your reel so that way to help prevent spool or backlashes. And remember, you always have to have your thumb on the spool as well. And so for the outside, you can tighten this down as much as you need to, or as least. So that's the minimum, and cranking it all the way this way is the maximum. That's gonna, the higher the number, the more tension is gonna be on the reel, and the less distance you're actually gonna get while casting. So I'm gonna, since this is the first time using it, I'm gonna put it on a 4, and then I'm gonna test it out. All right guys, so the first thing you wanna do is to tighten up your tension control knob. So what I normally do when I first put a bait on, I just engage it and let it fall. And that's falling pretty slow. what I do is just wind it up, and I start backing my tension control knob off, so back a little bit towards me, lefty loosey, righty tighty. So, and then I flip it, engage it again until I see that it's starting to fall at a good rate. So that way when it does hit the ground, you don't want it to keep spooling through. So once again, I'm just gonna go here. I'm gonna loosen it up a little bit. And then once it goes, you see it's not catching, it's not spooling. So continuing to spool. So that's a good tension there. And then when I get ready to test it out, I don't power my rod, you know, just flipping it over my head and just tossing it. That's not what you do. You always want to have a sidearm cast. And what the sidearm cast is good for is two things. One, I'm keeping my lure close to the water, a nice smooth trajectory over top of the water. And then when I get to the end of my cast, that's when I start applying more pressure on, so that way right before it hits the water, I'm putting it all the way on so it has a softer splash in the water. Because if I just do, that was supposed to be in the right way. Hold on. If I just go and just let it hit like that, whatever's underneath it there is going to be spooked. So what you want to do is you want to have it nice and low to the ground. And then when I get close to my cast, that way it sits right on top, and then I'm gonna, you know, pop it back to the water. And then I'm just gonna, since this is the first time using it, I'm just gonna test it out. I'm just gonna do a couple of casts, see how it went. Kind of, you know, not bad. Just gonna test it, walking it back. And now what I'm really doing, I'm testing not only my rod and reel, my reel as far as that it's tuned, I'm getting feel for my rod with my reel as well with the lure, since this is the first time using it. And so, once again, it's pretty good. I'm just gonna wind it on in. I have all kinds of activity going on. So I go a little bit further, no issues. See? And now, I'm just gonna go ahead and wind it in. What I can do, I can start backing off my dual brake to where there's 3, and where it's, because I've used Baitcasters quite often, so I'm a little bit, you know, more used to, you know, tossing them. And as you see, that was little effort, and that thing went pretty good distance. It's going to cover a good distance. So, oh, I just had a blow up. That's funny. Didn't expect that. So once I said, I'm getting it out there, putting my finger on, and I'm just walking it back. And I just had a blow up. I want to see if I'm gonna get another one. It'd be funny if I got a blow up while I'm testing my Baitcaster. Okay, no blow up that time. That's all right. Like I said, I'm just getting used to it. So. And I'm just gonna keep doing this a little bit further, just to test. No backlashes whatsoever. And then, you know, if you do get backlashes, you just have to figure out whether you need to tighten up the tension control knob, tighten up the dual braking system, or open it up and tightening or activating some more of the brakes on the inside. So that's really it, guys. And now it's just going out and having fun, getting used to the equipment. So guys, I really appreciate you stopping by with me, watching how I set my Baitcaster up. And if you have any questions, hit them in the comments below. If you have any, you know, tips for me that you see something that I could have done better, or I could have explained better, you know, put it in the comments and we'll definitely talk about it. So that's what this channel is for. It's not just for me just to put out videos or whatever else. It's to help somebody else. Because when I first started bass fishing and saltwater fishing, I didn't really have videos how to use a Baitcaster and all that. In my first one, I was The very first tournament I went to with a Baitcaster, I got embarrassed. So what I did, I stood on my bed when I was living in Phoenix City, Alabama, and I had to learn how to flip on my bed because it was a good level. It was about the size of, you know, a bass boat, and I was just learning how to flip. And so sometimes you're just going to have to take those unconventional methods and learn how to use your equipment. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like it. Also subscribe to the channel while you're there and hit the bell notification so that way you're notified the next time I put up content. And also share my channel with somebody else that likes to fish. And remember, God loves you, God bless you, and may He keep you. Until next time, peace, guys.